Today we will have Eric Gillman with Sharp Retention. Hi, Eric.
Morning.
And Eric will be talk about how to fail your way to success and the true purpose of a goal. But before we start, I wanted to congratulate all Allison James agents, brokers, and Allison James team to make it to Real Trend this year. We are number 26 as a independent brokerage out of 86,000 company out there. And we did over sales volume of over 2.9 billion. So woo, congratulations to all of you guys. Now, we are going to give away a $75 gift certificate for Sharp Retention. And we will have a question related to that. So the question is, how many transactions did Allison James close last year in 2017? I will repeat the question. How many transactions did Allison James close in 2017? Try to put the comment. You need to have the accurate number of how many transactions we closed, and you will get a $75 gift certificate from Sharp Retention. Now, let's go back to the topic, how to fail your way to success and the true purpose of a goal with Eric Gillman. I met Eric a couple months ago and I just wanted to take a minute and letting you know that this guy, he's the type of person, when he walks in a room, he's got that positive energy, always happy, have a smile on his face, and just look sharp. And I'm glad to have you here today, Eric. How are you?
I am super fantastic. A little bit of a raspy voice today, so I apologize, but I am excited to be here and share some content. And yeah.
Perfect. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself before we go over the theme?
Sure. So I am the area director for Southern California for Sharp Retention, which we do specialize in custom engraved closing gifts. We take our product, which is super high quality. You can see my shirt there, Cutco knives. We engrave them with your information, and it keeps you top of mind. Really what we do is our main mission is to make sure that your clients stay your clients forever. So we keep you top of mind using your closing gift system. In addition to that, I've been with Cutco for now 11 and a half years. I started when I was in high school, and one of the top reps in history. And my side business, though, or my side hustles, if you would say, is really helping people create the life of their dreams through healthy choices, and through that being health, fitness, and wellness. You know, health, what we eat, what we drink; fitness, what we do; and wellness. And I think a lot of that's what we're going to be talking about today, is about how you think and how you process information and use it to move forward in both a positive and negative way. So yeah, when I graduated college about 5 years ago, I wrote my first book, The Power to Change. So helping young people, or anybody for that matter, create the life of their dreams through healthy choices. And you can actually see, that's my next book right there. It's the very beginning phases of it right there. But yeah, I have a passion for helping people. I used to be super obese as a kid. Look at that sexy picture right there.
Wow. Big change.
Yeah, a little bit. So anyway, a lot of that comes from, like I said, mostly the simplest things we'll talk about today is stuff you've probably heard before. What you eat, what you drink, those little things, that's how you change it. Really what makes big change, both physically, mentally, and business-wise as well, is what goes on in here, and how we use this amazing, incredible computer, and how we program it and wire it and do everything with it, and how we keep it maintained, and how we allow it to grow too. So yeah, that's kind of my background in a nutshell, and just excited to be here today.
Thank you, Eric. So let's talk about goal. What do you believe is the true purpose of a goal?
Yeah, the true purpose of a goal, you know, in our business, and in any business for that matter, whether it's real estate or knives or home insurance, or if you're a doctor or a nurse or a family person, it doesn't necessarily matter. But the true purpose of a goal, I hope all setting big goals, that's how we move further, isn't always necessary to hit the number. So when I say number, meaning that could be a number, that could be a physical thing that you want. It doesn't necessarily have to be a number. I just say numbers because in our industry, so much about it is numbers related. But the true purpose of a goal is to not necessarily hit the goal, but to become the person you become by pursuing that goal with every single thing that you have. So that is to say, the purpose of the goal is not necessarily to get to that point, but it's to transform into the person that goes after such a massive goal with a complete amount of tenacity. So like I'll share, like one of my goals is to do $1 million in sales for Cutco. That is a pretty massive number. But what I'm most excited about that is not necessarily the number itself. I'm sure that has a big why to it, what's exciting about it, what that income will mean. But knowing how much of a better or bigger person you become by making those, and we'll talk more about the thousands and thousands of small choices that lead up to that bigger purpose of a goal. So it's really, again, it's becoming the person you become by pursuing it, not necessarily to hit the number or the thing itself.
So is it like making the change every day to get closer to the goal?
100%. So it's thousands and thousands of small choices added up over time, compounded to where we end up. So by being present in the moment, by having that big, audacious, hairy goal, that big, scary thing that you're going for, that massive mark, if you don't have that thing, well, then you're just going to kind of be floating through space, not really growing. If you're not, as my old manager used to say, if you're not growing, you're dying. So it's like you're just kind of floating through doing your own thing. Whereas if you have this big, massive goal that you're going after, and you're present every single day you have it, and that's, as we'll talk about, is that that's really about connecting your why to your present action. That's what's going to keep it driving, going every day. But yeah, the purpose of it is just those small little choices that one time you make more phone calls when you knew you were tired to, or that other time where you didn't go out to that happy hour when you knew you still had some phone calls to make, or those, that one time you said, okay, I need to get up early because I had to make these 10 extra phone calls today. And not one of those little things by itself, standing alone, adds up to a massive goal hitting experience. But the purpose of that massive goal is to make sure all those little things happen. But if you don't have that massive pursuit, then it's like, oh, well, I'm not going to get up and make those 10 phone calls. I don't have to. I can. Or, hey, it's Susan's birthday today. We have to go to happy hour. I have to do that. Or is it more important that you have to make those 5 extra phone calls, that 1 extra email, whatever that little thing is? Because here's the thing, Jessica, we've all hopefully hit goals before. I hope some goal. And we all know that feeling that when you're looking back, you go, I can't believe that I can believe this happened, but it never would have happened unless I can't believe I did that one thing, that one time, like that little thing that's actually that little thing that I thought was so insignificant, put the whole big shebang over the edge. But without doing that, so without having that constant pursuit of becoming that better person who's going to make those choices, it doesn't really move you forward.
I agree. And I think sometimes you have a yearly goal and you don't do anything for 6 months. And what you really need to do is have like a daily goal and daily action. And if you're able to do that, there is a bigger chance you're going to reach out to your goal than just waiting 10 months and waking up and saying, oh my gosh, I didn't do anything. I have 2 months left to reach out to my goal. I totally agree. Now, what failure means?
If I real quick, I think also in terms of to follow up on the question, the true purpose of the goal as well is just like you were saying, is to connect your big why, your big goal, whatever that is for you. It might be, let's say, for example, a number of transactions. That's the easiest one, to get to a number of transactions or a number of volume. It's exciting to get, but the true purpose of the goal is to take that idea, which we all have big ideas. I mean, that's why the lottery is such a popular thing. Everyone's got big ideas to do a lot of big things, but not a lot of people are willing to take big action to do any of it. And here's why. Because they don't take that big thing and they don't directly link it to their daily action. They don't directly put, hey, if I don't get up and get my phone calls done today, in 10 months from now, I'm going to be in a lot of pain wishing that I did it right then. Hey, if I don't go out and go to the gym tonight, I'm going to feel crappy in 4 months from now when I'm on vacation for the 19th time. And I'm like, I don't feel great. But if you directly link, they say, hey, I've got to get on the phone tomorrow morning, like it is the end of the year next week. Like if it is December 10th right now, have that type of urgency. So really, anyway, what I'm trying to say is that having that direct link provides the urgency to the daily action.
It's about now, not in 12 months from now.
Yeah, absolutely.
What does failure means to you, and how do you use it to move forward in life?
Does failure? Is it? Mm-hmm. Right, yeah. Failure in my eyes equals progress. I've said that for a while. I wrote it in the book. failure doesn't mean negative. You know, we associate failure with negativity so much. And sure, there's a lot of negativity there because a lot of things don't happen well when you fail. When you lose a championship game, your listing drops out of escrow and then like right before it's about to close. You lose, whatever, you lose a bet. It doesn't matter because it's always failure. There's so much negative emotion to it. But what I always said is if you embrace failure and instead of saying I failed, I progressed towards it. So yeah, I failed last year I didn't sell $1 million worth of knives, but I progressed closer to it. I got closer to it because I didn't do it that time. Or if if your goal is 50 transactions last year and you only did 33, well, did you fail at 50 transactions or did you progress closer to it? Because logically, you actually got closer to it. You got way closer to it than if you only had a goal of 25 and you had 6 and then you do 6, which is actually almost the same ratio, but without having that big thing, so yeah, it's progress. It's failing towards every single thing that you got. And anyone who's achieved something big knows that the only reason or one of the only main reasons they're there, and you can talk to any successful person, is it because I've just failed more than other people have at it. I've always joked like I've failed at more things than most people have attempted things in general. And that is why I succeed. That's why successful people succeed. That's why one of my favorite Michael Jordan quotes he talks about, and I'm not going to say it exactly. I'm sure there's some big basketball fans on here like, you're going to blow the quote. It's like I've missed 25 game-winning shots. I've lost 9 championship games. I've been knocked out of the playoffs 18 times. I've missed all these things. And he goes, and that's why I will succeed. And it's just this great statistics, but it's like, that's just going to bring you closer and closer every time. So failure equals progress. So, when people fail, it's so easy to get discouraged and negative. And yeah, that's part of it. Yes, that is part of it. Embracing use that pain to move you forward a little bit more. But every failure you make, anything that's not going your way, just as long as that idea is still here, that big goal is still here, and you can link it to that daily action, that immediate why, it doesn't really matter that you failed right now because you're just moving closer towards it. And having that kind of Teflon skin a little bit is, trust me, man, it's easier said than done. And we've all been there, failed super hard. And if you haven't, if you're listening to this right now and you're like, no, I've never failed a big time in my life, well, then you need to do more risky things, do bigger things. You're not thinking big enough. If you're not failing at least daily at something, not doing something better, then you're just staying where you are. And that's really that's not what life's about. That's not about growing and progress, because that doesn't serve you. And in my opinion, that doesn't serve other people, more importantly, which is kind of what we're all here for.
Yeah, I think people, when they hear the word failure in their mindset, they're thinking about a negative. It is a negative word. Oh my gosh, this is horrible. They need to change their mindset and said, oh, you know what? Failure for me is more like an experience, and I learn from it, and I'm going to take what I learned from it and move on to my next goal. And that's it. I mean, failure is a part of life. And like you said, we all did. I did, and you probably did. And that's what make who we are today.
We failed so many times that people are listening to you on your webinar, and they're here to listen to me too, because we failed so many times. They were here to tell you about it, and it's fun. So just do it more. The more you fail, the more progress you're making towards your goals. And then when you flip that mindset, it's much easier to roll through the failures.
Now, do you think fear of going back in the past is what keeps you going? Like example, with your book, of who you were before and who you are now, I know there's a big difference in your life. Is fear of going back in the past, it's what keeps you going in life?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think it kind of can go two ways. So fear of going back. Yeah, I was joking. So in terms of my own journey first, I'll relate it out to a lot of people. Is like, I'll never go back. I'm still that fat kid I wrote about in the book. He's still in here. Like I said, you reprogram that mental standpoint. And so I've always joked like, I ain't going back. I'm not going back. I was there. I did that. But I think that on the other end, a good friend of mine, if you ever, you're familiar with Hal Elrod and the Miracle Morning?
No.
It's a really great book. And Hal talks about, he's an incredible speaker, coach, New York Times, multiple best-time selling author. And he talks about this thing called rear view mirror syndrome. And rear view mirror syndrome is what blocks people from moving forward, because all they're doing is looking in that rear view mirror behind them, using that as the template to, oh, okay, well, I've never been able to do 50 transactions in a year, so I'm not going to be able to do 50 transactions in a year. Or, I've never been able to, get to a certain height or weight or certain look that I want. So maybe I'll just stay here, because based off of everything that I've done before, I don't think I'm going to be able to move forward to it. I think that like you said, kind of two-part question almost, or two-part answer is partly yes. I think that internally you should, depending on where you're coming from, you should use fear of going backwards, to motivate you to keep moving forward, to keep growing, to keep being different. Because if you come from like myself, and I didn't have it the worst, but like negative place, a more negative place than I am right now, you should use that fear of like, I'm not going to ever be in that position again, to drive you and motivate you and to continue to help you grow. But then I think more commonly, that's what stops people from going back a certain way. But I think what I see more with people is that rear view mirror syndrome of, I can't do this because I've never done that before, or I can't do this because I've never gotten to that certain level of achievement before, or I just can't do it because of X, Y, and Z thing. And it's just, sorry, Frank, it's bullshit. It's total bullshit. And it's all in your head. And fear is the number one problem out there. Fear is what stops people from doing everything. And here's the thing about fear. It's only in here. It's fake. It hasn't happened yet. Yeah, sure, it might be based off of some other thing that you've heard before or read, or hopefully not, somebody told you about you, which is bullshit too. If someone else is telling you what you can and can't do, I mean, go on YouTube and look at any millions of amazing videos of people doing things that someone at some point told them that they could or couldn't do, or most importantly, they told themselves they could and couldn't do. So yeah, it comes down to just that letting go of that rear view mirror syndrome. And part of it, I think you've seen that I wear a bracelet that says no excuses, and it's like it kind of comes from that same standpoint. And these, if anyone wants one too, I have a lot of them. I can send some up to the office or something like that. And I wear it every single day. I usually wear two. I just gave one else to someone else. But it reminds you of the difference between reasons and excuses. And here's the thing is that most of the time you're going to not do something or hold yourself back or have fear of it is because of an excuse, which is all internal, directly linked to fear off of nothing that's actually happened before. Or is it a reason? Very rarely is it an actual reason. And we all know about, sure, in life, there are reasons for things sometimes, but usually more likely it's an excuse. It's all in here. If you really think about what's blocking you, then you realize the more you break it down, and we can, go more into this if you want, but like the more you further and further step it, you realize it's actually just an excuse of why I'm telling myself that I can't do something based off of what I've done before, which if you just listen to the sentence that I just said, makes no sense.
I totally agree with you. Now, when I was looking at the 5 questions we have this morning, one of them was, what is the success cycle? So I'm like, success cycle? Oh, it's funny. I never heard about it. So I went online and I start, going on YouTube and Google success cycle and watch a Tony Robbins video, of course. And I'm like, wow, this is so true. This is so true. Can you tell us about the success cycle and share with everyone what it is?
Sure. Yeah, I would love to say I made it up. I was my totally original idea. I did write about it in the book, but I do give, I think you're right. I was actually trying to think about it when you were saying that. Where did I come up with that? It was Tony Robbins coaching that I originally got the idea from. And then I attended UPW like 5 or 6 years ago. And then I recently went again. And that's where it comes from. But the success cycle, it is just that. And that's the most important thing. It's a cycle. So it's constant. It's never ending. It's always going on. And what it is, it's really first step. I'll give you. It's a 3-step cycle into a feedback loop. First step is awareness. Second step is big planning, and then the third step is massive action. So awareness is the most easiest. It's the most easiest one of the step, right? Okay, let's take for example. I in the real estate industry, I want to sell 50 homes next year. So I'm going to do 50 transactions. That is my awareness. Okay, I did 12 last year. Okay, so that's where I'm at right now. So now I've had this moment where I'm aware. Now the next thing is we got to make a plan. Again, nothing crazy about this thing, but how many people actually, okay, I have a big goal. Now I'm going to sit down and I'm going to map it out. And I don't mean just write it down. Don't just write your goal down, put it on a piece of paper and hope that it comes true, that you have a 0% chance of that ever working out. When you write it down, map it out to the ridiculous. The better you plan, the better you act. The more you fail to plan, the more you fail, you're going to fail in the field. That's fact. Bottom line, and I'm not a meticulous, has to be planned out to every little T, but you have to have a plan in place that's somewhat reasonable. And the more detailed, here's the thing, to go back on what we were just talking about, the previous question, the more detailed your plan is and your daily needs, actions, accountabilities, and check-ins, the more detailed your plan is, the much easier your life is going to be in terms of committing to that big, massive goal on a daily basis. The much easier those small little choices become of, oh, do I make 5 more phone calls or do I go get, drinks with the team? Or do I get up early and work out, or do I sleep in and go to the office like I normally do? Having these big goals with big plans, the more detailed the plan is, the easier and much easier it becomes to make those decisions. And then here's the last step, and before we go to feedback, is where we lose most people. Massive action. You're going to do what you say you're going to do. It's awesome to have big plans. It's amazing to work them all out. There's actually, I read a study one time, or a story about a study where people get 50% of the enjoyment of just making a plan than they do actually have it doing the plan itself. So that is to say, 50% of the satisfaction of a big goal is like, oh, I have a plan for it. And that's it. People are like, oh, I have a massive plan. It's kind of like what we were talking about with this bike ride thing I'm doing. Like I feel really accomplished. I have this massive plan. I haven't done anything yet. But you get that same sense of entitlement or sense of reassurance by just having a plan in place. So the last thing is massive action. Is the whole thing. You got to go after it with a sense of urgency. Like tomorrow, the goal is over. I have one more day to do it. Why do we always study so much the night before a test? Why do we not eat crap the day before a diet ends? It doesn't matter. Why do we work super hard in December? Because we should have worked hard in March. These are the things that we're all trying to make up for at the end, right? But if you take all that massive action and you do it, and it's not crazy, just work really hard. Just work really hard doing all the things you said you were going to do in your schedule for a week, a month, a year. That time frame depends on what type of your goal you're going for. Is it a yearly goal? Well, then you got to do it for a year. Is it a monthly goal? Well, then you got to do it for the month. Is it a goal you need to get done by Wednesday at noon? Well, then you should be doing it right now. But the point is having that massive action, and then you get a result. So ultimately that whole thing feeds a result, right? And here's where the cycle part of it comes in, is you have to keep it going. So you take that feedback, which, scientific term for a feedback loop. We all know that from 10th grade science class. I remember that little, I do remember that much. And you take that massive action, and that massive action is now your awareness. You've taken that massive action, and it is your next. So now it's a cycle. You've gone into the next cycle, and that is awareness. But now your new awareness isn't just, oh, I have a goal to do 50 transactions next year. I want to do it. It's, okay, last year my goal was to do 50 transactions, and I only did 29, which is still up over last year a lot. So that's good. Feel positive. Remember, progress, not failure. But now I'm at 29 transactions trying to get to 50, not 12, 29. And I have all this new knowledge. So you feed that back in. And I bet you what, if you work for 2 years to get to 50 transactions and you do every single thing you said you're going to do at the time you said you're going to do it, which is the definition of integrity, then you will probably get to 50 transactions. I mean, I'm not a coach or trainer, but I've been in the field for, over a decade. I know that the people who most successful thing I love asking, or most common thing I like asking successful people, what is your most trait that you do that keeps you successful? Or what's one thing that you do that other people don't? Or what's one thing you wish other people knew? And the answer is always the same. I just do the work I said I was going to do at the time I said I was going to do it. Crazy. But we sit and we wait and we want this mystery potion, this phone call script, this time frame, this schedule that you think we have 95 hours in a day and you only have 24. It's these systems in place that people have, and it's just doing those little things. So the success cycle, to bring it back home, is, again, I'll say it's awareness. So finding out what you want, doing all that great stuff. Make a massive goal. So a plan. So make a plan. Like, plan it out to the ridiculous. Remember, the more planned out your plan is, the more easy it becomes to live it under daily action. And then the last thing, which I said is 50% of the goal itself, at least, is massive action and doing the thing and looping that in over and over again. And that's how you build a 100 transaction business. Nobody comes in this business and does 100 transactions their first year. And if they do, they probably are never going to do it their second year, or because they didn't take the time to build over and over again. And if you're listening, you did 100 transactions like last year for your first year, kudos, good job. But it's building time and time over and over again. That's really what the success cycle is about. Like I said in the beginning of the call, is taking this machinery, this amazing thing that we have in our head that computes faster than anything in the world, basically, and is in your mind, and programming it and putting and updating the software constantly and putting in the right programs that make it run most effectively and most efficiently, so you can operate at a high level.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And I know my team sometimes make fun of me, because every morning for 1 hour, it doesn't matter if someone call me or email me, I just don't answer anyone. I lock myself in a room and I work on planning my day and doing my journal. And I don't care what happened, even if there's fire in the building, I'm just do not talk to me. And I think if everyone just take a little step back and don't just answer email and prepare for the day and look at the action and take action during the day, wow, they can get so much more done than, having yearly goal, taking this little step. Now, what system do you have in place to keep your energy level high on a constant basis?
I love it, because right when you were saying that, I was thinking of this, my answer. So great, loving it. There's a lot, first of all, but I'm going to share a couple, like the three most important ones, I think. So life, and especially business, I don't think life is about systems, but I think living a really awesome life with a really awesome business is about putting systems in place for your life. That doesn't mean everything, like with your relationships really or anything like that, but things that you need to do. So the most important thing to keep your energy up is what you put into your body. I think that's the most obvious answer, is really what you're eating and what you're drinking. Health, fitness, wellness is the passion of mine. I could probably do an entire webinar if you're on something just on the health, the healthy aspects of foods. But to keep it the most simple, live foods versus dead foods. Most people eat mostly dead foods. What's the difference? How do you tell the difference? Live foods don't have nutrition facts on them, because real food doesn't need nutrition labels. You judge real food off of color, taste, smell, ripeness, everything that's built into this computer that intuitively you know how to eat good food. So just eat as many healthy foods as possible during the day.
Not in a box, pretty much.
What's that?
Everything that is not in a box will be healthy.
Yep. So, I just keeping it simple. Don't shop on, nothing you haven't heard before. Is, again, we could do a whole separate talk on this specifically. But the main thing is what you're eating. Obviously, if you don't have time, look, Eric, I don't have time to eat 3 salads a day and 2 cucumbers. So go put a system in place and go get a juice in the middle of the day. All your nutrients, all your stuff, drink it down, and not like a smoothie. Don't do that Jamba Juice. Go get a dark green juice. And if you don't like it, well, then drink the whole thing fast. Once you start to see the effect that it has on your energy level and your skin and how you overall affect people and your digestive system, and you start realizing that everything that goes in here and here, which we'll talk, and everywhere, has an effect on everything that goes out. And that's the most common thing that I see where there's a disconnect with a lot of people, is just, I'll get healthy once I get my business to a certain level, or once my health gets to a certain level, that's when I'll start working out more. Or once I get my business, it's all conditional. It's all excuses, right? So getting the system in place for what you're eating and what you're drinking, that's the most simple thing. Meal prep, all that different great stuff. Number 2 is how you sleep. Sleep. We don't think about it much, but we just take it for granted. We just go lay down and, but really one thing that I've become obsessed with over the last 6 to 8 months, this year, a big goal of mine. This might sound funny to people. I know it sounds funny because when I tell people, they laugh at me. What goals are you working on? Trying to get really good at sleeping. like really efficient.
No problem.
And so, like, I know some people right now sleeping on this call, just like, oh, I'm sleeping right now. I'm just kidding. But no, it's so a nighttime routine. So I'm a big fan of routine in the morning. And my nighttime routine is pretty down pat. So it's drinking enough water before bed, apple cider vinegar and honey, and for tea before you sleep. That will help you sleep better. It alkalizes your body. You will sleep. You'll have better REM cycles. I started doing this about 6 to 8 months ago, and that was the first thing that got me onto it. Whatever. And I'm not going to recommend specifics too much, but vitamins. Eat the right amount of vitamins. If you don't get enough vitamin C, take a vitamin C during the day. If you're not getting out and eating enough micronutrients and vegetables, which personally I eat a ton. Eat a multivitamin once a day. Men's health ones, women's health ones. I'm not getting specific. I'm not a health guru. I'm a guy who works on this stuff often though. So you're sleeping well. And then the other thing I do for sleep, I grab these right before the call, some UV glasses. So we all look at screens all the time. We are constantly looking at screens. I look at screens up until probably, unfortunately, like 20 to 30 minutes before I go to bed. Checking email, maybe Facebook, Instagram, text message. This stuff emits blue light, which will make it harder to go to sleep, right? So every night, usually when I get home, between 2 or 3 hours before I go to bed, here I put on. Can you see? It just makes everything kind of orange, and what that does, it blocks out all the blue light, helps you sleep at night. You'll just sleep more effectively. You get them online. Just go to Google late night sleeping glasses. There's definitely different ones with styles, and you'll notice that you sleep better. And then the third thing, and this is actually, he said, I could do a whole nother talk on just those two things alone. This is the most important one. And it's not what you eat and what you drink. It's a level of personal choices that I think everybody should be entitled to make. And however that affects you. That third thing though, is I think someone ever can learn from is what do you allow to go into your head, right? What type of energy are you constantly exposing yourself to? Who do you follow? Who are your friends? What are you listening to? Facebook has turned into a garbage fire of just political rants and people going off on things. And so really a lot of it is just, what are you letting influence your mind? And not just phones. What TV are you watching? Are you watching really horrible, if you love dirty crime dramas, whatever, but are you watching stuff that inspires you to be a better person? I usually only watch documentaries because it's all right, if I'm gonna sit there for 2 hours, I better learn something, even if it's totally irrelevant, just crazy, who knows what documentaries. But what information we live in a time like never before of information overload, to a point where it's probably going to become an actual diagnosable condition at some point, I think, in the next 10 to 15 years, when they start putting a definition of that term, neck curve syndrome, where everyone's neck is going to look like a J for the rest of their life because they look down at their phone all the time. So what are you being exposed to? Another thing, like notifications, energy level, talking about letting people into. I love what you said in the beginning, or what you said about your beginning of your day, is you lock yourself in the office and you don't let anybody interrupt you, right? You let that flow keep going. And I think that, and this is not for everybody, but one of the best things I ever did in my entire life is go on your cell phone, you go to settings and go to notifications. It's right on the top there, and turn off all of your notifications, because the only person who should dictate how your life is going is you, right? And now, look, if you have kids and you have a kid in school or whatever, I guess that is one other argument. They have a different story. But if you don't have a dependent, and I'm not talking about a husband or wife, they can handle themselves. They're a big boy or girl with a phone as well. If you don't have someone who's life or death relying on you, notifications off. I remember I did this year. I probably get, as I'm sure most people do now, if you're on any group text or whatever, I'll get sometimes up to 400 or 500 text messages a day. How many do you think you get a day? Bro,
yeah.
100, right? Especially on a group text, it can explode. And you've now taken where it says in your calendar, in your personal life, I'm going to do phone calls and time blocking. And you sit down, or I'm going to time block for phone calls, or I'm going to, even worse, I'm going to time block for my family. and then you get a text, buzz. I don't get bings. It doesn't bing. It just vibrates, which is almost even more obnoxious because you're just saying, oh, I don't want to interrupt, but suddenly I just want to know that I want to be interrupted. So turn all that crap off. And what you'll notice is what I noticed and what dozens of people who I've coached this on have noticed. Nothing is that important. None of it. You'll realize it in a week. You might even notice it in a day. Go one day without checking your text messages, right? Or your emails, depending on what. And you'll learn.
Hours. It's like a couple hours.
And start exactly. If you can't do a whole day, start with 1 hour. Start with 20 minutes if you're phone addicted. There are people who can't put this thing down. And look, I'm guilty sometimes too of flipping through whatever. But here's the thing, Jessica. The more you're aware of it, the more you can change it, right? The more you're thinking about it, doing something about it, the more opportunity you have to actually act on it. But the more you just let the notifications and, oh, so-and-so started and I'll wrap on this part, but I gave a talk at my local office meeting, which is a lot of younger reps. They all, 18 to 25-year-old college kids who are selling Cutco. And I told them to turn off their notifications. Dude, some of them, they looked at me like I just told them to slap their mom. I was like, relax, don't worry. But there's what about, he's like, one person asked, what about Instagram stories? And I was like, there are stupid questions. What about Instagram stories? Some stranger you've never met before who you think has cool videos of her butt started a live video across the country, and all of a sudden you need a notification and interrupting your most sacred time? I think not, friends. So anyway.
A couple of years ago, I had a vendors who tried to get business from me, and he was emailing me for probably a year. He was great for following up with me, and I decided to go to lunch with him. And during that lunchtime, he picked up his phone while we were talking business. He picked up his phone. I turned off my phone because I want respect for the other. He picked up his phone while I was talking to him and start texting. I'm like, you know what? I don't want to do business. You have no respect for the hour we're spending together. In a business perspective, you should not pick up your phone and try to look at your notification.
Speaking of
business, you lose business because of that too.
A business perspective. Now, one of my a great mentor of mine, John Broman, also author, speaker, one of the top college speakers in the country. He gave me a great piece of advice one time, and he is one of the most present people you ever meet. He's also one of the most successful college speakers of all time. And what he tells me, and I actually, I'll be honest, I haven't been doing this, although I keep my phone notifications off, so it's not as relevant. And I would never take a phone call during a meeting. But what he says to people, and I don't exactly like this, but basically, hey, thanks for meeting me, blah, blah, blah. Hey, just so you know, I'm going to turn off my phone because I want to be 100% completely present to what we got going on. You don't have to at all, but just so you know, that's how precious my time is and how much I respect your time as well. So I'm just tearing that off. I mean, and you don't make it obnoxious, oh, you have to do it. But hey, by the way, I'm just going to turn my phone off. You're welcome to as well. But I don't know about you, but my time is pretty important as I value yours as well. So I would never take a phone call. And again, if you have a loved one in the hospital, the only way that you should do is if you have a loved one in the hospital, sick or something, or a kid who needs you or anything like that. But aside from that, sorry to break it to you, but your time's not that precious to be giving it away to other people because at their beckoning call.
Yes. Well, thank you, Eric. We're very happy to have you.
Perfect.
Awesome. If you want to contact Eric, we will have his information on the post, including Sharp Retention website. Remember, we have a $75 gift certificate Sharp Retention giveaway. The question is, how many transactions did Allison James close in 2017? Thank you, Eric.
Thank you, Jess. Appreciate it. Great seeing you. Yeah, keep in touch.